What's up? It's Buddy with Big Motor Small Blade. There's Seth over there in the corner, and then who we got this guy over here. Darian Gilliam, Black Flags Matter. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
thank you for coming on.
I remember your overalls at the Dirt Bristol race because I saw a ton of them when I went to my first Tennessee's Vol game too. I was like, oh, okay, that's what he was wearing. Okay,
I'm
so that
I'm
makes
gl-
sense.
I'm glad that stuck out to you when you went to the
Yeah,
Volts game. You're like, oh, buddy.
I saw like 10 or 12 of them. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. He wore
Yeah,
that. So.
I those were a hit. I got asked several times if I lost a bet when I wore those to Bristol. But yeah, appreciate you coming on, man. We've been talking about it for a while, so
Yeah,
that's pretty
no,
cool.
thanks for having me.
Yeah. Shit. Let's get right into it, man. 2022 just ended. Would you overall give me a vague rundown of what you thought of the 2022 season and next gen and all that good stuff?
Yeah, it was one of the wildest seasons ever, and really the one of the wildest ones in recent memory for all like the good and bad reasons. Like it was a combination of both, man, throughout the year. Just the parity we saw was great, but then the short track racing sucked, which was the least expected thing. And then all of a sudden you have all these concussions popping up, like,
Yeah.
over hits that aren't like that didn't look as hard, like at
Yeah.
first, but then once you learn more about the safety issues with the next gen car, you're like, oh wow, so these hits are a lot harder than in years past. And then, other controversies like Bubba Wallace pushing Kyle Larson, wrecking him and stuff. That was crazy. And then in spectacular NASCAR fashion, it all ends with Joey Logano winning the championship. Of course, after the freaking chaotic season we had, it all like the final conclusion is Logano winning a championship and one of the most championship finales ever. I don't know. I think I just made that up. And of course you
Menace.
can't forget yeah, and of course you can't forget Ross Chastain's wall ride. That was crazy.
Yeah, we were there in person for that one. That was
Oh, y'all were?
yeah, dude. That was
Oh
I
wow.
so Seth was took a minute to comprehend. I don't know. You just
It took me a little bit, yeah.
yeah. And then
Yeah, dude, I couldn't stop thinking about it all night, and I wasn't even there. I was like, "How did he? Like, he really did that? That actually worked." Like, I don't
I
think
had
we're never gonna
the
see that again. I don't think we're ever
no.
gonna see that again.
See, Seth thinks they're
I
gonna
think
do that like
I think like 12 guys are going to do it at the end of the spring race. If you get the car
Yeah,
in on the wall the right way, throw it into fifth gear, I think it'll work.
you just gotta hope A, NASCAR doesn't make a rule banning
yeah.
it, and then B, you have to hope that they do it safely. I mean, like, I that sounds dumb, but I mean, you have to remember too. We were just talking about Mike Harmon before the show. Remember, he got into that little, not little, into
Yeah.
that Bristol accident because his car caught the little gate thing,
Yeah.
that lets the
Yeah.
haulers in. And I'm just glad Ross Chastain didn't hit that when he did
Yeah.
his move. So I don't know. It's just my only concern is like, oh, if more than one driver tries to do it on the final lap, then I don't know. Just hopefully it doesn't like split the car open or whatever.
Yeah, that would be I was watching it happen and I don't know why I didn't really have a reaction to it. I was like it wasn't I put it like this a couple weeks ago. I was like it wasn't on my bingo card, but it was like in the free space. Like I
Mhm.
was like if it's Ross
Yeah.
Chastain, as soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, that's Ross just did that. Okay, then it's
Yeah.
on brand as all hell.
Yeah.
But
It's one of those things. If anybody was going to do it, it was going to be Ross, and it was going to look exactly
hmm
like that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and then the whole perception on him has changed too. Like he has less haters now. Like I don't know, like a ton of people were won over just by that one move.
hmm
I guess
Yeah,
they
which
sort of forgotten what he did earlier.
they forgot what he did earlier in that race. I mean, he wrecked Brad
hmm
Keselowski, and he beat and banged with Denny Hamlin for nothing.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
and then yeah, in the end, Denny Hamlin loses out on a championship four appearance to him of all
Yeah.
drivers. That's
R.I.P.
crazy.
to boy. Yeah. So you mentioned the mid championship race,
hmm
the next gen car. What did you think of it? Obviously, we all know the glaring issues with the short tracks and road courses, but what'd you think about? I want to ask you this because it's going to perfect Seth. What'd you think about the intermediate package?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, compared to what we had for over 3 years there, like I don't know, just that, full throttle racing. Like it was good to see driver talent finally, mean something on these 1.5 mile tracks again. And then like some of these races too, like, yeah, I mean, not every intermediate was spectacular, but then some of these other intermediates, like Las Vegas, had some chaotic things happen. There was like a lot more wrecks than usual, and I had been going there up until I moved to Tennessee, to every Las Vegas race, the Cup Series ever had there,
Yeah.
and it's crazy. It's just crazy seeing all this stuff happening. But then I don't know. There were some other ones that were pretty much tamed for the most part, but no, I mean, it says a lot when your short track package is worse than your intermediate package. So it just says that this next gen, like it's gotten some areas fixed, but then I don't know, the short tracks though, we didn't want to see the short tracks get sacrificed though. So we'll see.
No.
They have a few more things to tweak on it, and then I think it'll be perfect for the most part.
I got you, Seth. What?
Well, I mean, if we'd have just gotten our horsepower back, we could have had a great short track or a pretty good short track package and an even better intermediate package. So I'm not gonna end on that hill. Here's a analogy I thought of when I was watching our last week's episode that I really want to say to Buddy. Be like, so imagine you have $900. We'll just say that, and I take 350 of those from you.
Oh, okay.
I lord them over you for like 3 years.
Okay.
Slapping them in your face, doing this, that, and the other. And then 3 years later, I give 150 of them back to you. Are you going to be okay with that? Or are you going to be...
No, I'm gonna want all my money back. But then also too, it's like, dang, like, oh, so I was looking for this for 3 years and stuff, like, I don't know.
So it's like initially you're like, okay, that's cool. And then a little bit later, I'm like, okay, I'd like all my money back.
If it's been 3 years, I assume I lost that $300. So if you randomly show up with 170, then I'm like, all right, shit, I'll take it.
That's a good analogy, though. I like that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Seth is he obviously. I think it's pretty popular opinion that we need more horsepower in these things. But Seth has been, especially like the restarts and stuff. Seth is like, this is cheap. This is bad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel you, man. I feel you. I haven't heard it explained in those terms though, but when you explain it that way, I'm like, yeah, no, that does piss me off actually. Yeah. I see why these teams were so angry, for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, so the parody, this is something I want to ask you. Did the parody at all seem, I don't know, cheap or like, kind of not, I guess that, yeah, cheap is the only word I could think of for that. Because I didn't think so. I thought we saw we saw 19 winners. I thought all of them were pretty legit. We didn't have Michael McDowell running through the field. We didn't have, any of that, fuel mileage or, some.
Yeah, no, they were all legit. It's just like my one thing of, the one tragedy of that though is unfortunately because we had so many winners, Truex Jr. had to miss the playoffs, despite having one of the best consistent seasons of the non-winners. So that was like the only issue. But then outside of that, yeah, I mean, the parody was awesome. Like, I don't know like why anyone would be against it. I mean, I've seen a few people say like, oh, like nobody's dominating anymore and stuff. And then now everyone's going to get a win. Like, I'm like, wait a minute. Like, isn't this what we were after? And then you also have to remember too, it's the first year of the car. So I feel like these bigger teams are going to figure out more of it next year. And then that parity is going to shrink down over time. But I don't think it'll be as dominant as like, the big three in 2018 though. Once we start to see some, less and less winners, like, I don't know, it offers a chance for everyone to finally run up front. Like, I mean, an interesting stat to start the year was I think the first 2 or 3 races we had like over 30 drivers already with a top 10. And I'm like, dang, that's an all-time record. Like that's crazy. Like that's never happened that fast. And then after Bristol in the fall though, or no, in the summer, or wait, when was Bristol? Oh yeah, the playoff race. Yeah. So it was in the fall. I'm sorry, I'm still not used to that. But no, so after Bristol in the fall, I was convinced that we were going to get 20 winners. Like we were going to break the record because like it was already up to 19 at that point, and we still had so much of the playoffs left.
Yeah.
But then that didn't happen though, unfortunately. I thought Blaney was going to break it. I mean, he was close at Phoenix, but that was it. But no, the parody's awesome.
Yeah. See, Seth, it's not cheap. Sorry, I interjected you into this intermarital problems we've had on the podcast past few weeks. Seth is.
Apparently, I hate all things fun. I don't know.
He does. He hates all things fun, man. He was like, it feels cheap to me that all these guys are winning. I'm like, Seth, they're doing it. It's all legit.
Well, no,
Well, no, like, oh, go ahead.
It's just kind of the way it was happening. So it was like Austin Dillon won when we had 40 cars wreck at Daytona, and
okay, I'll give you that.
Okay, yeah, that's understandable. Yeah,
and Eric Jones deserved that win, but two guys broke in front of him for him to win that race, and then Christopher Bell won Bristol because a caution came out for a tire for no reason, or for Bell's tire that shouldn't have been a yellow, and it's like, I don't know, like that's 3 right there off the top of my head that happened in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever it was.
Hey man, look. Like I said, I was like, dude, I've been watching like the 2002 season like back. Just that's what I've been doing the past couple weeks. And like, dude, shit happens. I mean, cars break.
It's part of racing.
Yeah,
it's part of racing, man.
Yeah. There's something to be said. I mean, Harvick said it best. Crappy ass parts, but I mean, it is. It is what it is. I feel like they'll get that shit taken care of, and it's like there's 38 other cars that didn't break.
Not at Bristol. There's like 15 that didn't break at some point.
That's true. Okay, I'll give you. Yeah, I'll give you that one.
And that was crazy how throughout the playoffs, it basically took away from the actual racing that was happening and stuff. Like it felt like most of that playoffs, like a lot of NASCAR fans didn't care about the playoffs because there was always something happening or whatever. But then like, I feel like the only positive story out of all those was Ross Chastain's wall ride, though. Out of like all of those stories that took place during the playoffs, like that were off the track, that was actually a headline. I was like, yeah, okay, that's good. Like it's actually something positive,
We needed that. I mean, we needed that for the exposure, and then that. I mean, Seth even said he was like, I was feeling down about these playoffs because it was just between the injuries and the suspension with Bubba and just everything had been going on.
It was always Debbie Downers all the time.
Yeah. And it kind of overshadowed. Like we had the majority of the season was pretty great.
Oh yeah, no, totally agree.
But yeah,
no, it was totally agree, man.
Let's get it playoffs. So I listened to the weekly podcast this past week or week after Phoenix. Appreciate it. Yeah. No. And you guys are talking about the playoffs and the systems. I know Jarrett's hell bent on the Winston Cup format. Where do you stand on that whole argument?
See, when I was younger, I always when I first started watching NASCAR, it was like during the whole chase for the Cup era when it was just kicking off. So I went through that system. And then obviously we've been through the playoff system since 2014. I don't know. Like at first, like I thought I would want a consistent point system throughout the whole season. And yeah, that's like the fairest way to crown a champion. But I would only want that if the points were actually awarded properly. Like obviously the winner should get, the most, of course, but then in the old system, it felt like the winner only got like 5 or 10 extra points, depending on if, they had the most laps led, So I feel like as long as the winner gets the most, like sort of like what F1 does, because what F1 gets 25, first place in F1 gets 25 points, then 18, then 15. Let's have a system sort of similar to that. Obviously we're going to reward everyone points, but still, no, like obviously if you're going to have a consistent points format, the winning should, automatically give you the most points by a landslide, but if not, I wouldn't mind going back to the 10 person chase, the 10 driver chase. Like I always thought that was the best chase out of all of them. It's just the only issue I had was just with the way that bonus points were distributed and that sort of thing. Because when the chase first started, they just reset the points and then everyone was separated by 5, no matter what season you had. So.
Yeah. I'd like for him to cut down the playoffs. Seth is he's against all playoffs. He thinks they're stupid and bad.
No, I agree. I agree, man.
Yeah.
Like even like we've seen it now. It's like I thought the playoffs were supposed to make it entertaining all the time, but we just had one of the most mid championship finales ever.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It can only do so much, you can only like you can only make it artificial for so long and stuff before people start to, see past it, or see through it. So
Yeah. How much of that you think it's the track? I chalk that up a lot to Phoenix
yeah, that's
being
just
the
Phoenix. Yeah,
yeah.
but they're never gonna lose the championship race anytime soon because they
Yeah.
renovated that place or whatever. So it's gonna
You
be
don't think
there for
Auto
a
Club's
while.
getting it?
You know what? It could get it in a few years if they
Yeah.
decide to rotate it.
Mhm.
And it would. The only way they would be able to rotate it though is through ISC tracks. So
Mhm.
unfortunately, you would have to eliminate some of the best SMI tracks. But
Yeah.
no, out of all the if you're gonna rotate it and stuff, then yeah, obviously keep it to like short tracks and stuff.
Yeah.
But I have a hunch though that eventually they're probably gonna make Daytona the
Don't
championship
don't
finale.
even start with that.
I could see it though. That's the thing. I could see it. I mean, that's just them. They're so geared towards the entertainment, right? So I could see it.
Dude, oh, it just
I wouldn't
pains
want it
me.
though. I wouldn't
Yeah,
want it.
yeah,
Nah, I wouldn't want it at all.
yeah. I know.
Well,
You were talking. Go
not
ahead,
only
Seth.
not only would it be a bad like for a championship race, it'd be an awful plate race because nobody would do
Mhm.
anything. Because God forbid you wreck the damn champion four.
Yeah, it would be like the 2021 Daytona 500 again, and I
Yep.
was there for that in person. That
Oh.
was just it was so
I'm
cold.
sorry.
It was so boring. It was terrible, and that was my first 500 that I stayed for from start to finish because I was at the 2021, but then I had to leave early. But yeah, no.
Oh.
Like I totally get it. Nah, like, but I could see it though. I could see him at least trying it.
I was asleep on that floor during the 2021 Daytona 500.
Dude, I was in the freaking grandstands just freezing my ass off. Like
Oh,
that's crazy.
oh man, I had an idea for the playoffs. Like I'd be fine with the playoffs just because I get like you have to kind of
No.
be entertaining. What?
You need to admit it. You like the playoffs.
So no,
Admit it, my
no,
guy.
I don't. No, I don't. I wouldn't say I like the playoffs, but I don't. I'll say this: I don't dislike them as much as everybody else does. I'm definitely
Yeah.
kind of in the middle of that because it's just I kind of get like it's a compromise you got to make between the racing purist and the racing casualist.
Mm-hmm.
Casualist is the word. I think I just made that up.
I would argue
but-
the 10
Both
race
making words
playoff.
up.
I would argue the 10 race chase is that compromise, not this
Yeah.
WWE.
No,
stuff.
I agree. No, I agree.
Yeah.
No. I feel like it was a perfect balance. You had the best of both worlds. You had to be consistent,
Yeah.
throughout the regular season and during the final 10 races.
Yeah.
But my only issue was just that, the way points were distributed though, they
Yeah.
needed to do a much better job originally. But I mean, I felt like it was still the best of both worlds though. As with this playoff system we currently have, it's just I don't know, it's just too much entertainment. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know, it doesn't appeal to the racing purists as much. And for good reason. But and that's just NASCAR nowadays. They just
What do you
gotta
think
make it
about? What do you think about the elimination aspect of it? Because this has been a hot topic between Seth and I lately.
I don't know. It's just see if we didn't have this elimination stuff, then we
Yeah.
wouldn't have gotten Ross Chastain's wall ride move, right?
Yeah.
But then also too, if you're gonna eliminate drivers over 3 races, then all of a sudden, it puts certain drivers who have been the most consistent at risk of getting eliminated
Yeah.
because they don't win as much. So like a Ryan Blaney, like he
Yeah.
kept, crew, he barely made it through, the rounds of 16, 12, that sort of thing or whatever, because he didn't have any wins.
Mhm.
But people, and then all of a sudden people are going to look back on his season as like, oh well, he didn't really do that good. But actually, when you look at it on paper, he was second in points
Yeah.
among in the overall standings, only 61 points behind Chase Elliott.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's just my one issue with this whole elimination stuff. Like, because once a driver gets eliminated, then they're only guaranteed to finish as high as 5th, depending on where they are in points. And then you're gonna look back on in the stat books, and you're gonna think, oh dang, he must not
Yeah.
had a good season or something like that, But then you gotta look more into it, But that's just what this elimination style thing has done, unfortunately.
See, I think we should take like the top 10 in points and then put them in this, and then just eliminate 2 guys instead of 4 every round. You got the top 10 in points. I mean, it's hard to argue
Yeah,
against that,
that's
Seth,
another
right?
that's another issue. I feel like it's too big. It's too
Yeah.
big right now. 16, it's way too much because you already know like the bottom four are usually gonna miss
Yeah.
they're gonna miss the round of 12. And it's not like they ever make it past the round of 12 anyway.
Unless you're Chase
Like Austin
Briscoe.
Dillon. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, unless you're him. He's the rare story, and I wanted him to win the championship so damn bad. That would have been funny.
Oh, dude, I was sitting there when he was leading Martinsville. I was like, if he wins this championship, I swear I will resign from this podcast. I will quit. I was not ready for it.
Hey, I thought it was gonna happen though. It was close. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what NASCAR kind of lives for with this title format. That's what they want. So
yeah.
yeah.